Brenton, what's that you've got in your hands?
Mate, I'm so ready for the Black Cauldron, so I bought a friend.
Brenton, why have you brought a pig into my house?
Oink, oink, oink. Oh, Nathan, don't worry. This pig can tell the future.
Oh, no.
Now dig on this.
Hey!
Hey-o! Hey! Hello!
And welcome to Classic Movie Banter. You know that show where me, that dude Brenton, and that other dude over there, Nathan,
I'm here.
we talk about films that are 20 years or older, 20 years, and we tell you, our lovely listeners, whether they're still worth watching today or not. Like, if you got a huge magical cauldron, attached the DVD case to it, and just watched it disintegrate into thin air.
We're talking about the Black Cauldron today.
You know why we're talking about the Black Cauldron? It's
Why,
because it is the 35th anniversary of this film. 35
Wow.
years. 35 years of Black Cauldrons.
30, one for every year. You're just stacking them up in a
One
pile.
for you, one for me.
Oh, Jesus.
Nathan, do you own a cauldron?
I do not own a cauldron. In fact, I'm trying to think of like trick-or-treating. I don't even think I had a cauldron for that. I think it was like a shitty plastic bag I just throw candy in.
Yeah, I think I had a little plastic cauldron one year for trick-or-treating. I think as well, like the closest thing I can say to a cauldron that I own is probably a wok.
That'd be great. Just someone CGI some woks into this movie.
It's a black wok.
They just remake it in like China or something. It'd be great.
Well, in case it's not obvious already, guys, today we're talking about The Black Cauldron, released in 1985 and directed by Ted Berman and Richard Rich. Those names sound familiar, Nathan.
Oh, I know why. Because they directed another bloody Disney favorite of ours, Brenton, didn't they?
You sound like you're saying that with some like contempt. It sounds
Even though
like,
I did
Nathan.
give it a thumbs up on our 2-year anniversary. So, yes, they did Fox and the Hound, you know, and you can see a lot of parallels between their work, can't you, Brenton?
There's some great scenes in The Fox and the Hound, you know, some wonderful moments. This we'll get into.
Brenton, pitch me the Black Cauldron, Brenton. I want to hear what this pitch is, actually. Can you pitch me the movie?
So, Nathan, today I'm going to pitch you this movie. Now, have you ever heard of Lloyd Alexander, the novelist?
Never, Brenton. You know I don't read books.
Have you ever heard of his series, The Chronicles of Prydain?
Let me guess, is this a mythological Welsh tale told over a pentology of 5 books?
That is exactly right. Do you know that...
Well, that's a stab in the dark.
Do you know that The Black Cauldron is based on the first 2 books in The Chronicle of Prydain?
Yeah, let's mesh 2 of 5 books together and make it into a movie.
Yeah, well, Nathan, let's not even do that, because I've got a quote here from Lloyd Alexander just to get you in the mood.
Oh,
saying,
good.
So he said, "First I have to say, there is no resemblance between the movie and the book. Having said that, the movie in itself, purely as a movie, I found to be very enjoyable. I had fun watching it. Well, what I would hope is that anyone who sees the movie would certainly enjoy it, but I'd also hope that they'd actually read the book. The book is quite different. It's a very powerful, very moving story, and I think people will find a lot more depth in the book." Now, a very powerful and very moving story. Nathan, we're all about that on Classic Movie Banter, aren't we?
We are, and Disney, the studio that's making it.
They certainly are. Now, my point is that the author of this book that this film is based off has said that the film is very different to the book, which is very powerful and very moving. Which means that this movie is probably not very powerful and very moving, and doesn't resemble the book in any way, shape, or form. So all I can really say about this to pitch it is that this is a very generic fantasy land where there's a magic cauldron that does magic things and is the key to taking over the world. And they've got to stop an evil horned king. That's all we really know about this guy. And stop him from getting this Black Cauldron. And the way to stop him, and the way that he'll find the Black Cauldron, is by gaining access to a certain pig that can see visions in a wok of alcohol. Nathan, that is the Black Cauldron. That's all I've got to say.
This doesn't sound like anything generic, you know, a psychic pig that leads directions to a cauldron. That sounds like such an original concept.
Well, Nathan, what are some staples of fantasy? You would say that there's some monsters, and you'd say that maybe there's some witches.
Maybe a princess, maybe a minstrel.
Mate, it's got all that. It's got all that.
Wow. Well, I love fantasy, Brenton. Maybe this will be my cup of tea. Here's a lot of money to make this movie, because apparently it cost a fuck ton to make back then. And go make it, Brenton. Go make the Black Cauldron.
It's actually going to take 7 years, so just give me some time and we'll get it done.
I'm so glad then that you've chosen such tame content for famously children-based studio Disney to make off this material.
Nathan, I just want to traumatize some children.
Excellent. We share the same interests. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm Michael Eisner maybe, or one of the executives. Let's make it.
Come on, Mickey, let's go.
Oh boy, grab a cauldrons we are.
Nathan, you can probably tell that there was some personal views in that pitch that I was trying to express, but I was also just trying to get the point across that this has got nothing to do with the novel.
Like literally next to nothing apart from maybe character names.
So with that being said, let's get into what we actually think of the movie.
This movie is a absolute dumpster fire of a film. A true tragedy from start to finish. I haven't felt hatred and anger and disappointment for a film like this since maybe The Land Before Time.
Whoa, big words, big boy.
I have so many ways I can attack this movie. It's like, I feel like that dinosaur, that raptor in like Jurassic World when like the cow's been lowered into the cage and you see the cow go in and I'm like, there's just so many angles I can eat this beast at. Which one do I go for, Brenton? But what about you? Are you on the other side of the fence?
No, not at all. I hear you, man. I just don't think I have such a vitriolic hatred towards the movie. You know what I mean? This I didn't find this insulting. I thought it was just that. I think that like you summed it up when you said that it's, you know, it's obviously it's not that good to start off with. The characters I don't think are really, you know, attractive in any way, sense, or form. Not even just in the animation. I don't think it's the worst looking animated film I've ever seen. It's not necessarily the best one either. I think some of the designs are okay, but apart from that, man, like in terms of the story, in terms of what's going on, there's nothing that like gets me into it.
It's just so painfully generic.
Exactly. And so in saying that, I don't think it's like that insulting. I don't hate myself while watching it. I don't want to, you know, but this is a film, the thing I think that sums it up is that this is a film that goes for 1 hour and 20 minutes and it felt like 2.5 hours. So
Jesus, didn't it though? And like, but have you seen this before?
I have. I watched it as a kid.
Because I feel like you mentioned this like ages ago on the podcast, Black Cauldron, because you said it scared you heaps as a kid.
I don't know if it necessarily scared me heaps as a kid. It wasn't like Return to Oz or something like that really traumatized me. I think this was more, I would watch it and there were segments in it that I would be scared and I would notice that was scary and it was uncharacteristic of other things I'd seen. You know what I mean? But it wasn't something that I was going home. In fact, I thought as a kid that it was pretty cool in the sense of like there was a magic sword. I thought the villain was really cool.
Yeah. I think probably the villain's the best thing about this movie.
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
his
like,
design, I think John Hurt's voice
his voice acting is like the one voice performance that's probably the most consistent. Actually is a character, I think.
Yeah.
But in saying that, you say that the actor's probably bringing that to it, but on paper and in the film, the character doesn't have that much going for it at the same time either. Like, it looks cool.
He's got a great design.
Yeah. But apart from that, it's like, why does he, you know, is it just the power? Is it just like, you know, we never find anything out about we know nothing about him, but not only just him, we know nothing about the world itself. We know nothing about any of the other characters, really. There's a princess in this, and we don't really know where she's the princess of, or like...
There's no context to any of this. It's like they got the staples of a generic fantasy tale and said, that's it. And they said, the audience will fill in the blanks.
We start the story with the protagonist and his mentor, I guess, but like you never know what the relationship is between these two or how they've come to know each other, where their families are, you know, like
This almost feels like an adaptation of Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. You know what I mean?
I mean, like it's just taking the staples of the genre and just like throwing it in there. To me, it almost felt like this film was a response to something another company had done. Like I was thinking, like, was this around the time that like that Lord of the Rings animation came out or something, and maybe that was a big successful, so Disney was trying to, you know, like counter that. Like, I don't know. That's what it feels like. It's coming in response to something, and it doesn't have its own identity. It feels like it had its own identity at some stage.
Yeah.
And then that's just kind of been ripped out to fit the Disney mold, but then it doesn't fit the Disney mold because it tries to do the things in the Disney formula, like such as the humor, some funny characters, some good times, some good feels, but it just never hits any of these. It never executes anything really well.
It doesn't.
And that might be because, just quickly, in terms of the making of this movie, it was a total mess. Like,
a nightmare.
I think they were aiming for a July 1985 release for this, so like a summer blockbuster kind of thing. But they did test screenings and it traumatized all the kids.
I saw that. I read that fact. How children literally ran out of the theater in the test screening.
Yeah, and
isn't that insane? Don't you think that would raise some red flags to Disney going, maybe we got to change this film?
But then that's what happened, and they basically re-edited the film, you know, and reanimated and added some new bits.
But how did it get that far? Like, when they pitched the movie and did the first storyboards, did it not tweak that this was the direction the film was going in?
I imagine so, but I imagine that obviously you're working for Disney, so maybe that. But again, like,
but why did Disney buy this in the first place?
This was in production for 7 years. You know what I mean? Like,
I
so
know.
there was like they cut out 12 minutes of the film, like for this. So any chance of any like character interactions and backstory? Because I think there was like scenes of like character interactions and that were cut, as well as like dark imagery that was removed from the film,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
read about, which we'll talk about in spoilers, I
talk
think.
about
That
that,
I was
yeah.
like, then I was like, wow, that was in this originally.
It feels like the kind of thing that pushed The Rock off the cliff and got it rolling was just the fact that Disney wanted to make this. The
Yeah.
source material, regardless of what you read in the books, it just feels so incompatible with Disney. Like, I don't know why they as an animation studio made it. I suppose they're the biggest at the time. And this material kind of lends itself to animation. As far as like the sword and sorcery stuff, like they've already done Sword in the Stone by this point. So they've kind of cracked that side of it, which is dramatically better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if they tried to make Lord of the Rings. It feels like Disney tried to make a knockoff Lord of the Rings and the executives are like, well, we could do a little bit of Lord of the Rings, but not the full Lord of the Ring.
But like that's what it feels like. It feels like, is this a response to the Lord of the Rings? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and there are a lot of parallels, which we'll get to in spoilers, about what this movie does and what that movie does.
but the fact that it doesn't even use the source material and it doesn't actually do anything with these characters, or it doesn't try to introduce anything like interesting with the characters, or, you know, or people that you can latch onto and kids can relate to and, you know, do things like, sure, some of the designs are cool. Like I remember as a kid specifically thinking that the magic sword was cool.
It is cool, but absolutely pointless, Brenton, and we'll get into it.
Pointless, but also that the Horn King was a cool looking character. It sparked my imagination, but it didn't actually like foster a great story for me to like enjoy as a kid.
You can see why it sparked your imagination, because the whole movie feels like some weird acid dream. You know what I mean? Like the
I know
whole
exactly what
movie,
you mean.
it feels like we've walked into the animation studios and they're all tripping on acid and they're just scribbling shit, and like we're seeing the product of them putting those frames together. Like, and the whole movie just feels like it. I think I also got to mention, Brenton, that this film is very unintentionally funny.
Oh, see, I didn't. I
You're not
can see
laughing?
why you might think that, but I wasn't laughing. Like, I just
Oh.
wasn't. I was just kind of taking it in, I guess, and just being like, all right, cool, let's move
I
on.
think because it fails in so many areas, I have laughed more in this than I've laughed in like many of the other films we've reviewed, because I was.
Well, see, yeah, me, not at all. So continue. Like, that's really interesting.
So if you want a good laugh at something shit, then this is definitely it. I think another big area it falls flat is that there's just way too many characters in this.
I agree, dude. Like, cut a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
There's so many new characters and new areas introduced, and it never actually it never does anything with them. So we never investigate any of these new characters. We never investigate these new areas or what they mean to the world, or like it just doesn't mesh together in any way. It's just here throwing shit at you. I feel like I'm just sitting there and it's like someone's just throwing bird shit in my face.
No, I didn't want this from a movie. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I think there's a bunch of reasons why the characters suck, and I want to get into them right now, Brenton. So, as a general blanket statement, I want to open with the fact that all of their names are so stupid. I hate all their names for starters.
Can you name any off
Can
the top
you?
of your head?
Can you?
No.
I can't.
The Horned King, that's it.
The Horn King, yeah, because exactly. Okay, let's go to the protagonist, because I hate him the most. Let's go to the boy. First off, the boy is pointless. Completely pointless to the story, because he does absolutely fuck all in the story. He was useless, and furthermore, he's unlikable. There's not a single redeeming quality to this idiot who decides to look after this pig. I hated him the whole movie.
He's terrible. He's narcissistic.
He's narcissistic.
He's sexist.
He is very sexist, which, by the way, doesn't go away. There's not a character arc where he starts sexist. He's sexist all through and through. And I thought for a second it was just him, but then I thought about it some more, and I thought, wait, no, it's not just the boy. The whole bloody film's sexist, Brenton.
In what way? Please go into detail.
Because here's a bloody segue, because the only female character in this movie, besides the wenches, which we'll get into.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, continue. Yeah.
Jesus. And the witches, is the princess. And she seems so ditzy. I feel like she's like really stoned this whole movie, and it's kind of like fluttering about through every kind of scene.
It's like they wanted her to be a really strong character, and then they just kind of chickened out in points and were like, oh, let's just like, because she has moments where she's introduced, she's like, yeah, I don't need to be saved, I'm gonna get us out of this scenario.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of doesn't. She's got nothing. She's like, I'm a princess of this land, and no one gives a fuck.
Does she not know?
She doesn't actually offer anything to the film apart from a romantic subplot, which even then isn't earned.
No,
you know?
you don't give two shits about these two for one love, because you know it. You can see this whole film before you even finish it.
Well, he's such a dipshit that, like, I'm like, no, princess, don't go with that fucking loser.
Don't.
Like, find someone better than him.
Jeez,
like,
literally
Jesus.
anyone else. It's like, it kind of reminds me of Amy Adams and like Ella Enchanted. Like, when,
I haven't seen Ella Enchanted.
oh mate, now there's a cracker of a film. But it's like when she, or maybe it's Anne Hathaway and Ella Enchantment. What's the one where Amy Adams comes into the real world? That one.
Oh, no, that's Enchanted.
Oh,
I have seen
Enchanted,
that.
pardon me. Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway. Have you seen Enchanted?
I have seen that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you know at the start of the movie when she kind of emerges in New York and she's kind of a little bit like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
it reminded me a bit of that.
Oh, see, I don't even think it's that interesting. I just
No.
think it's just like she's just kind of like it's like they wanted a certain sound for this character, and that's all they thought about to that point of view. So the actor's just kind of fucking around, like just doing this, like it doesn't even make sense the lines she's saying sometimes. Really,
God no. And I feel like with the boy as well, I feel like what happened is the animators were told to animate Hayden Christensen for this role. Because I'm getting a lot of like blank flat acting from Attack of the Clones in this boy.
Nathan, we could continue talking about this boy for the whole episode, but there are other characters.
There are other characters. Okay, other characters I hate. Why is Gollum in this movie? A carbon copy paste of Gollum.
Yes, but then I thought when he was introduced, I was like, did Andy Serkis like use this as inspiration for this voice?
I was wondering that too.
It's a similar sound.
Yeah, and obviously Black Cauldron did it first, so like I haven't done the research, but I would be not that surprised if Andy did take a little hint from this because it's very Gollum.
Do you like him? Like he's just. I don't really like anyone, really. Like
there's no empathy. Like he's meant to go through.
He had one point that I was just like, "That's probably the darkest thing in this film." But we'll get into that in spoilers. He had one moment where I was just like,
I
"Good
felt
lord!"
nothing when he did his one thing, and I'm like, "Great." I'm like,
Neither did I.
yeah. I was like, "Fuck this character." Like we'll get into it, but yeah, I hate the music man. I hate him so much. The one with like
the bard.
For some reason, he's got a harp that like breaks strings when you lie.
For the whole film, I was going, "Why is he in this? Like, why? What is he going to do?"
That's what I was asking. Why is anyone in this?
And then he does his thing. Well, like, okay, so the protagonist is there to have basically a male protagonist that like can wield the sword and can just kind of be there, you know.
He doesn't even use it though.
He's the only one that kind of has maybe an arc as well. So there's him.
Oh, I disagree with that.
No, there's an arc written for him in the film. Like he has an arc. It's not a good one.
We'll talk about it.
It is there. Then you have the princess, whose purpose is to get with the guy.
Yeah.
Then you have
Gollum.
The Gollum, who I think is there for comic relief.
Jesus.
I think he's there to be a fun character as comic like relief. There's two of those. The other one is the sidekick to the main villain that are meant to be there to be like kind of funny, but they're not. Neither of them are. They're just kind of like, why the fuck are they there? So then he's there just fucking around. Then you have the bard, who I was like for the whole movie, he's not comic relief. He's not doing anything. Like, why is he here? And then he does his thing towards the end of the film, and I was like, that was it? Like, that was
single
why
payoff in this entire film. It's just,
oh gosh,
and it's funny because they're trying to stop this villain from getting access to the Black Cauldron, so he invades the whole land. But the thing is that you never introduced the kingdom. You don't give two shits about this kingdom if it gets invaded. Like we don't meet anyone from it. We meet the fairies at one point who are hiding underground.
It looks like a shit place to begin with. Like, it's all shit.
Yeah, it's all terrible. I'm like, this is not Jadis, like from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, like casting her spells. It's like you feel nothing for the people that live here. Like when you finally meet the fairies, I'm like, I hate all of them. I'm like, I hope the villain wins. I hope you all die. I hope this whole thing is Game of Thrones and we let the White Walkers win. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the Horned King as well is that we always hear about his power and his evil and whatnot, but he never actually does anything. Like in the movie,
nothing.
Like he never does anything. He does one thing. He does one thing that's not even his power, and you're like, why do these people follow him?
I hate the green
He's
thing.
Oh, it's terrible. That's awful. That character felt like it was added in because it was too scary with the Horned King by himself. It was like too much, so they added it in to try and like lessen the effect, you know. And I was just like,
wrong.
Yeah, like it's shit though. He's not good.
It's just I know who's laughing at this. Like that's not what I was laughing at. I was laughing at some just stupid ass lines in this movie. So the characters suck, the story sucks. So what's left, Brenton? Literally everything else sucks. I haven't heard such garbage sound design, I think, ever before in a film.
Yeah, there was some funny effects.
Oh my god.
There was
some garbage effects, but also all the lines sound weirdly ADR'd.
Yeah.
Like you can hear them recorded, and it's kind of a soft kind of spoken, and because of all the voice acting and shit, it's not kind of making it sound more natural.
No, it's just crap.
It's just shit voice acting. There's no emotional expression in any of the audiences. Everyone pulls the same fucking dumb face the whole movie. The directing! Who directed this? Like the framing is so weird. Like there's just like weird close-ups on some characters and then like kind of half scenic shots, but then like were you finding that weird?
Which is, yeah, I did. I know the issue you're bringing up because like it's weird though for a Disney film because they'd storyboard the shit out of all this.
Yeah.
There's segments that it's worse in, and I know that they had to like reanimate and make new scenes for like these edits that they had to do. So you can see that the whole thing's like it's not conjoined as a finished product. It doesn't feel finished.
No.
So I think that might partly have to blame for that, but at the same time, like it's not a good looking movie.
It's not.
From a directorial standpoint. I think the animation's all right in some areas.
Yeah, like the actual when you get like a scenic shot and you see a castle in a distance, or you see like the interior of a pub, like that's good. That's a good like frame. But like they just do nothing interesting in it, and like it's just. The only one thing I liked in this movie was the soundtrack. I thought that was the only department that lifted its weight.
I agree, but like, it was funny because I thought the sound was good, like the soundtrack was good, but I wasn't all that taken by it because it didn't, actually no, because I remember the opening scene, I was into it. The opening scene of this movie, like the kind of the prologue, I was like, oh yeah man, here we go, there's the Horn King, fuck the Black Cauldron, we're going into it. But that was all the music and the narration obviously at the start and the imagery, it was all working. And then it just kind of dies, and I feel like the music's always like on another level to the film, but it kind of undermines the music, if anything. The film is like totally undermining what the music's trying to do.
Oh, it is exactly it, because they're like, oh, this film's shit, let's just ramp up the soundtrack and just have people distracted by the music, which like only does so much. Like, I'm just so like, because I can see, because like all the pieces are there, like you can see what this project could have been. Potentially. I feel like if this was with like a different animation studio with some vigorous like script, like, you know, surgery, then maybe it could have been better. And actually also hiring some much better voice actors.
Nathan, you said this was like an acid dream. Do you know what's crazy?
Were they all actually taking acid? Like
I don't know, dude. I don't know what was going on there. But so this year, Disney released, this was the same year that Disney released 1985 Return to Oz. What the fuck were they thinking?
Wow.
Like, what are they doing? Like, are they intentionally trying to maim like and traumatize the children of the mid-80s?
So
like
off-brand. Like, I just don't understand it. Like,
so something's going on at Disney at this point. Is my
to be honest with you, like I kind of wish like a flavor of this was in modern Disney. Like they could still kind of do a little bit of scary stuff in their new films, but like, geez, like especially, you know what's so disappointing as well? Like the fact that this villain like looks so cool and they do nothing with him. Like imagine if he was in a modern Disney film, you know what I mean?
I know.
He's got such an iconic design and yet nothing is done. Oh, let's rate it.
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
My thumbs are down. My thumbs are up. No, they're down.
Oh my god,
They're
don't.
way down.
I would literally boot you up at that point.
Yeah, for all the reasons we just listed, there's nothing much more to say. I just kind of want to get into some spoilers.
A lot of people have said like, oh, this film was amazing as a kid, it scared me to death. But it's like, you shouldn't love it because it just scared you to death. Like, you want to get scared to death, just like, I don't know, have someone jump out from behind a corridor and go boo. Like, you don't go through this shit. Like,
yeah, look, I think there's merit in the fact of like, I think some of the designs are cool, like as a kid, but that's all I took away. And I was like, oh, it's scary. It's like, you know, I feel like kind of maybe like an adult and that's cool as a kid. But you know what? It's not, watching it back, it's not worth a rewatch, unfortunately.
There's just nothing there. I don't know. I imagine like a child watching this today as well. Like, I feel like maybe a kid would get around it if they've never seen anything fantasy before.
Maybe, but at the same time, as a kid, like I watched this and it wasn't like one of my favorites that I was putting on constantly.
I just don't know why we're here doing this, Brendan. I'm like, bloody Black Cauldron. It's like, because it's not a classic. But it is a really interesting film to look at from like a historical perspective, to say Disney made this and there are lessons to be learned there, and like I do wish like some of the directions they took are in their modern films, but just as a whole product, it's just such a shame to see, like, and also what a shame for the source material. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I've read it, but like even just to see high fantasy be taken by Disney, that's so promising, and yet here we are.
Nathan, what a shame. Shame is the way to sum it up.
Shame. Thumbs down.
Let's get into some spoilers.
You spoiled it.
What?
The movie.
Oh.
There's a lot going on here, Brenton.
But is there, like, I feel like there's only a few things we really need to highlight.
First of all, talk about the pitch for a second, because I don't even think we went that much into that.
I'd just like to say that the whole premise of this is that there's a pig that can tell visions of where the Black Cauldron is.
Who thought of this shit? Like, what is this? What? Like, you know what I mean?
I like as well, like, it's pretty stupid because the pig's introduced, and I like the pig the most. I like the pig the most initially. I was like, cool.
Yeah, I actually feel sorry for the pig the whole film because it's just going through trauma.
The pig is introduced as kind of like the sidekick, and then the pig is like abandoned at a point. The pig's just left with the fairies. Like it gets captured. They try to capture it. They try to rescue it. They get it away, and then it just stays with the fairies, and they fuck it off. They're like, all right, see you, pig.
It's literally there's no decisions made through all of this movie. It's just them going. It's just characters being shuffled around because of the way the plot's structured.
I know.
Because the pig just vanishes for no reason. And I was so angry at that boy because like he knew the stakes and his one and sole job was to watch a fucking pig. You know what I mean? Like, how do you mess up that? Like, you have him on a leash. It's so fine. Then what does he do? Like, bends down like pick up a twig or something, and then he turns around. The pig's immediately gone.
No, this is the segment where he becomes a full narcissist, and he looks in the pond, and he sees the vision of himself as like a knight, as like a warrior,
God.
Like being, what would you say, rewarded for all of his heroic deeds, and he's just standing there in a suit of armor, like
just
wielding his short sword around. And then he's like, ugh, and then he looks up and he's like, wait, where's my pig?
It's just such a weird combination. And it's so funny because with him as well, like the start of this movie with him, it reminded me so much of Eragon.
As in the book series or the film?
God, not the book series, the movie. Where in 2006, you see this boring as hell, like a young generic white dude just be like, oh, I'm going to go on a quest, and you just see him be so painfully uninteresting.
That movie's terrible, dude. That Eragon movie. That's so bad.
I hated it. I saw it I watched it again like a month ago just to remind myself how much I hated it.
It's so awful.
It's so terrible.
So bad.
It's so bad. Poor Jeremy Irons as well being roped into it, like, because he's actually trying.
That movie's so weird. Like, I remember that opening scene as well on the farm, and it's got like the title credits and shit coming up as like they're doing like the stupid fight in the barn or whatever, and Eragon's like, I just want to like fucking like go do stuff, like, you know, and it's like, no, you can't, you gotta stay here, and it's like, it's such horseshit.
Oh.
But do you reckon Eragon, like, side tangent, is like a carbon, and I know a lot of stories are, but Eragon is like a carbon copy of Star Wars, of the first Star Wars film.
Yeah, for sure. Also because Christopher Poloni wrote this when he was 15, so he probably just watched Star Wars and was what about if we did this but in fantasy?
Yeah, it's not good.
I hate that. They got Rachel Weisz to like voice the what is this, Saphira, the dragon?
That's right. Saphira, yeah.
Oh my God.
And then I love how Saphira like gets like struck by a bolt of lightning and then suddenly grows into a full dragon, and you're just like, well.
But it's so funny as well because like Rachel Weisz is the last person to sound like a dragon. Like she's got such a soft like English accent. So to see her do like a dragon's voice, I'm not saying you can't have soft-spoken dragons, but Saphira as a character is not. Like she's like the whole movie she's like passive aggressive to like everyone who's not Eragon. So like it's such a fuck up pairing.
That movie sucks.
It sucks.
And then like the whole climax, like with Durza or something, isn't it?
Like that. He's flying about and he's like, ugh.
But they go to like the like kingdom, that underground kingdom. And it's like you have all these amazing actors there that are playing like those roles from the books, and like they've like haven't given them the time to like actually flesh out any of their characters. So they just kind of rock up, and then everyone just kind of leaves and like just doesn't do anything apart from
it feels like a superhero movie made by Sony. It just like there's like surface level, just no deep cuts. You know what as well? This movie reminds me a little bit of Onward as well. I don't know if you've seen Onward yet.
I haven't yet.
Oh my God. I saw it not too long ago, and like Jesus, that's also like a painfully generic fantasy movie. But in the sense of like at the start, you got like Tom Holland being like, oh, I just want to fit into high school. Oh, what's a quest? And then like Chris Pratt rocks up and he's like, this is a quest. And they go on like the start of it. And it's the exact same as like Black Cauldron, where they're just trotting about and like they're throwing all the generic shit at you. And you're like, can someone do something interesting with this trope?
Wait, is it the exact same? Is there a pig that can tell the future?
Look, I don't want to use those words to describe Chris Pratt, but you know. No, that was a joke. There isn't a pig that can tell the future. But don't watch Onward.
Oh man, I think what's hilarious, this highlights though that we've chosen to talk about two other fantasy films that aren't good also over the one that we're meant to be reviewing. So
I hate this pig. Can we acknowledge that when they threw the pig out of the tower into the water, that pig should not have survived?
No, it's a dead pig.
It's a dead pig. And I kind of wish the pig was dead, because also that would solve the movie. Just kill the pig. It won't tell you where like do you need a psychic pig? Also, because like the whole movie, you presume that like this kid doesn't know about the pig, right? The movie starts with the farmer being like, look at this, son, I've got a psychic pig. Whoa. And he's like, whoa, Dad, how did you keep this a secret? It's like, just kill the pig. If its only duty is to tell the future and you're just like stopping it from telling where the Black Cauldron is, take it out of the picture.
You're not wrong, Nathan. You are not wrong at all.
Oh, kill the pig.
Let's talk about some other fantasy tropes in this film. So they have a stupid, like, let's get out of the castle sequence, and then we go to the fairies. And when the fairies were introduced, I had a flashback to Land Before Time, because the fairies are voice acted by a bunch of fucking toddlers. And I was just sitting there thinking, Nathan would be hating his life right now. Nathan, what do you think?
I hated those fairies with a passion, and you're not wrong at all. As soon as the fairies popped up, I literally wrote down the words, "Are they challenged?" ? Like, I couldn't stand it. And I'm like, I hope all of you get wiped out. And not because they're toddlers. Because when they rock up, and it's like, because I'm not advocating that. It's because when the fairies eventually rock up, they do absolutely nothing except for going, oh, life is pretty shit. And then they willy-nilly just tell them where the Black Cauldron is. They don't even use the pig. The whole film sets up that the pig reveals where it is. And then one of them's like, oi, do you know where Cauldron is? And then like one of the other fairies turns around and is like, oh yeah, I think it was left there last I heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not good. They're like, I think it's in that swamp. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thanks,
you should
Gerald.
go with them.
Like-
You're the only adult voice actor here, so you should probably go with them. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I'll just stay here with the toddlers.
All perfectly color coded, so a 4-year-old can distinguish which one's which. It's like, come on.
I know. And then they just leave the pig there.
Then they just leave it there because like, oh, we don't need you anymore. It's like, oh, jeez. It's
And
like,
the pig looks so sad when they're like flying out of it. Oh yeah, the fairies can make people fly, like in Peter Pan
Oh
as
my
well.
God.
Like it's fine.
yeah, and you see them like starting to lift the pig, but then the main boy's like, nah. Leave the pig here. They're just like, oh, okay. Oh, I hated it so much because they take them. Okay, so they take them to the swamp, and as soon as I saw that hut in the swamp, I immediately thought we were going to Calypso's house.
Oh, love.
I would not have been surprised if they opened that door because it looks identical to the one in Pirates of the Caribbean, where they open the door and there's bloody. Oh, who plays it? Naomi Harris.
In fact, there's 3 witches in there. You know.
Oh my god.
Then we have the most weird segment in a Disney film ever. Like,
my
it's
God.
just so bizarre what happens
What
next.
were they thinking? Because like, oh, I mean, so these witches, like, you know, at one point in the movie, these witches haggle because like the fat one is like really keen on, the large one is like interested in like the Music Man for whatever reason. Maybe it's his harp that can tell lies, which is also stupid. And so they're like, oh, for sure, come over, let's bargain. And then when he's bargaining with them later on at the end of the movie, one of the witches say to him, I adore forceful men, when he's being forceful with his negotiation.
Well, that was his point in the film, was to enforce, like, just to go battle with the witches at the end for the life of Gollum, you know, basically.
Yeah.
Like, and why does he care? Like, you know, why does he
He
give a
just
fuck?
met them, and it's like, also, why is he a Music Man in the first
Why
place?
is he there? Why is he there? Like, why? What does he do? He is there to, at the end, haggle with the witches. That is all he's there to do.
Literally any other character could have done that. The sword could have done that. I don't know. Put a mouth on it. Like, we don't even know why he was imprisoned in the first place.
Getting back to the point of another thing we don't understand, this witch, like, is aroused by the bard, and
my
so
God.
he's turned into a frog to be eaten by one of the other witches. He somehow ends up between her breasts, and there's
my
this weird
God.
close-up where the frog's head pops out between these animated
Jesus Christ.
huge boobs,
These are the biggest boobs I've ever seen in cinema.
and he keeps diving in and out of the boobs. Like, it's just...
This is like
It's
a
so
2-minute
weird.
sequence. There's like 2 minutes of this hour 20 film dedicated to a frog being stuck on a witch's tits.
And the thing is, they cut 12 minutes out of this film for children, and they left that.
And they left it in. They like ran through all the senses, and it's so funny because you see him as a frog. He's just like uncomfortably shifting in between the boobs, and he's just like, ugh. And like also no one's helping. All the other characters kind of just standing there watching it unfold. You know, and it's also never addressed again.
So
like when he
true.
gets turned into a human, they're like, oh, well, that was fucking weird. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh.
so they somehow the hero goes about his arc, I guess, and realizes that he's a pig farmer, and so he gives up his sword. He gives up his chance of being a warrior to get the Black Cauldron, and then they all get captured anyway.
That's the thing. But the sword makes the main boy so much more useless because we realize the sword is sentient and can just operate on its own. He doesn't even need to hold or swing it.
He just holds on, you know, like he just holds on and he looks
Oh.
cool. And that's about it.
Jeez. Like,
So yeah, they go to the castle for the climax. There's this weird scene as well where like the boy and the girl suddenly have their moment of like, are they gonna end up together? And then like it's like, oh god, this is just suddenly introduced. I thought she hated him because he literally said, "You're a girl," you know.
did George Lucas write this?
You're just a girl. What would you know?
George Lucas definitely wrote this, didn't
Well, hey,
he?
George Lucas never said that. George Lucas wrote a screenplay, to be fair, where, you know, they went to rescue the princess and she was like, oh, hey, give me that blaster and fucking, you know.
That's true. But I feel like the romance is definitely George Lucas-esque.
Well, yeah. At least he doesn't dislike sand. So
Oh, thank God.
they go to the castle. They're there. Horn King has them, and then somehow, the Horn King does this thing, which was like the big horrific thing, which is when he raises the dead.
Just a cool sequence.
It is. It's probably the best animated sequence of the film.
Easily.
And you're like, whoa, that's cool. What could we do to stop him? I know. Let's commit suicide into the Black Cauldron.
Jesus Christ. And that's another thing. That's why I think it was ripping off more of Lord of the Rings. Because it has the same ending of Lord of the Rings, where spoilers for that book and movie, where Gollum jumps into the fire.
But dude, this was obviously set up to have like a big tear-jerking, like Mufasa's dead, like
Oh,
Disney moment.
yeah.
Like, you know, like one of those pull at the heartstrings where like the sidekick sacrifices themselves and dies for the journey. But it's not that. Like I just because you don't give a shit about this character because he's just annoying. He just turns around and goes, "No, master, you should stay alive because I literally have no friends." And then he just like looks all depressed and just commits suicide into the Black Cauldron. So you're just like, that's pretty dark for a kid's movie.
I have to jump into fire now.
He doesn't do it for the love of his friends. He does it because he's depressed because he doesn't have any.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's pretty dark for a kid's movie.
And also, they just kind of let him do it. That no one like steps in to go like, "Whoa, that's a pretty dark thing you said. Are
I
you
know.
okay?" They're like, "Yeah, let's sacrifice this forest creature."
They're all
met."
just like, okay, all right, well, we're just gonna watch this.
Yeah, like they're not happy about it. You see them cry about it afterwards, but you're like, come on, you were not helping in that moment. Like they could have just captured like one of the people at the bar and just thrown them in or something like that. Like you didn't have to sacrifice yourselves.
Hey, but if you were going to like make it a moment, like, and they were trying to be fair, but instead he just goes, I've got no friends.
But that's the thing. It's the golem creature that saves the day. He's the only one that actually does anything impactful on the plot.
I know.
So by all means, he could be the protagonist because he is the one that actually does something.
I
Jesus.
guess. Anyway, so then the Horn King gets sucked into the cauldron. He disintegrates.
Oh
And
my god, his skin peels off. Oh, yuck.
yeah.
Do you like him with the red eyes as well? I kind of liked him without eyes.
I thought he should have had yellow eyes. If he was going to have eyes, he should have had yellow eyes.
Oh.
I think it would have looked better.
I kind of liked him as just a skeleton.
I did too, but if you were going to give him eyes, he should have just had like a yellow glow around his eyes or something. That would have
Yeah, I
looked
get
cool.
around that.
Anyway, so they get away, and then he gives up his sword again, like to the witches. He gives it back again, and then they give life to the golem guy. He gets up, he forces the princess to kiss the main character, and then they all kind of laugh it off and walk off home, I guess, into the sunset, and then we go back to the...
For some reason, the master's been watching this the whole time.
Yeah, with the old fairy and the pig, and they're all just like, good on you.
Do they all know each
and
other?
the movie
Like,
ends.
did the old fairy
I
just
don't
like
know.
rock up with the pig, and then the master's like, "Oi, quick, put the pig in the water. I'm going to show you something."
Quick, turn the TV on. I need to watch.
Okay.
What's going on?
Would this movie have been better if the pig was the boy called Piggy from Lord of the Flies?
Would this movie be... I'm going to answer your question with another question. Would this movie be better? Because I think this is a possibility that it was actually in the same universe as the Babe universe, and that Babe is a sequel to this, and it's set like millions of years after this, but it's
Oh my
Babe is the
God.
same pig. Like he's a magical pig.
Oh, so like Babe's eternal, and like Babe has just been like, and for some
Yeah.
reason over
Yeah.
time he's developed psychic powers. And
Yeah, Babe is eternal.
I think this movie would be drastically better with Babe, frankly. Like it just, or just like, because he has some personality. Like the poor pig looks so frightened this whole movie. If it was actually Babe, for one, he could talk. So he'd be like, "Oi, put me in the cauldron, slaughter me." Like, don't put yourselves in there. And two, like, he'd probably just like ram into all the villains like he does like when he's a sheepdog.
Yeah, exactly.
This solves everything.
It certainly does. Were it so simple, you know what I mean? Babe is eternal. That's the quote of the episode. In fact, that might actually be the title for the YouTube video. Who knows?
Oh, well done. Let's get into some special segments.
Special segment.
Ooh, so special. All right, we're bringing back one of our favorite special segments.
Oh, I'm so glad we're doing it, dude.
It's called We Love Animals, and it's a segment on the show where we don't do it that often, where we talk about an animal that we loved in a movie and just give it the props it deserves, Brenton. There's a clear choice of who got it this movie, Brenton.
Without a doubt, it's that little green goblin, isn't it?
Oh, fuck him off. I hate him. Jesus Christ. I don't even know what he is. He could be a shrunken head for all I know. It's the pig. It's a shame we don't know the pig's name, but it's just got the saddest eyes the whole movie, you know?
I know. It's having a real tough time.
It deserves better owners, frankly. Like, you know what I mean? Because we don't know what it's used for.
I'm looking up the name of the pig right now. This is the segment of the show where Brenton Googles things. Henwin.
What?
Henwin. That was the name of the pig.
Okay, that is the stupidest name for a pig. What are we going to call this pig instead, Brenton? Because I don't want to call it Henwin.
It's Babe. It's Babe.
All right. What if we make it like more medieval, like Babeth or something?
Babeth.
Babeth. Babeth the pig. Jesus Christ. I hate this so much.
Yeah. Pig is the best character in the film.
Easily. Oh, props to you, Babeth. Jesus.
Nathan, this is a dark film, and only one character died. So who should have died in this movie?
Literally all of them, Brenton. I wanted a massacre. I wanted every major character to die, frankly.
Everyone, and then at the end of the movie, we cut back to the pig with the fairies.
Or maybe, yeah, let the animals... No, I want the fairies... I especially want the fairies to die. I think what should happen is that the green mist should be toxic, so it goes across the land and it kills everyone, but for some reason, the only character who survives this kind of virus is like one of the wenches at the bar, and she's kind of just like standing there, like very confused, just holding her beer as like literally everyone else is dead.
I think that the only character that should survive is the pig, and I think we cut back to the pig, Babbeth, and then it's revealed that Babbeth was the mastermind behind this whole thing all along, and we just have a dun, dun, dun into its face, and then we just cut to black.
Does that mean he like puts on the Babe 2 collar?
Yeah.
As it's revealed he's evil. Oh, that'd be great, Brenton. Literally all of them die. I wish more. I really, they should have killed off more, frankly. At least kill off the minstrel. He was old.
Or kill off the guy that sacrificed himself, but make him sacrifice himself for his friends, not because he doesn't have any, because that's really dark for a kid.
Oh, God, that's so dark. Brenton, would this be good as a theme park ride?
Well, fun fact, the Horned King actually featured in a theme park ride at Disney World.
Oh, really?
Disneyland or Disney World. Yeah, it's really interesting, actually. So when the movie came out, the Horned King, because it's like the coolest looking character, made a appearance in, what's the name of the ride? I got it here. Cinderella's, it was at Tokyo Disneyland, actually. It was a Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour.
What did he do? Did he just like go, did he just like it was like an animatronic just going, rawr?
I think it was pretty scary. It was notorious for being quite a scary moment in the ride, because he rocked up and did some shit. I don't know what he does, but he was like the main villain of this ride. And so this film actually features in a theme park ride, which we haven't been able to say yet on the show.
Oh, that's cool. That's very, very cool. But do you think the movie itself could be a theme park ride? Like you're on a roller coaster and you're going around the castle, or like...
Yeah, sure. I think it could be a Disney ride. I think it could be something akin to like the Peter Pan ride or something like that, where you...
Actually, you know what? If we're going to put this in the theme park, what we should do is instead make it like a themed canteen.
Oh, gosh. Hey, another fun fact. In 1986, the eatery Lance's Inn at Walt Disney World was renamed Gurgies, Munchies and Crunchies.
Oh my god.
So they actually already did it.
Oh my god. Jesus. Could you imagine seeing that golem motherfucker just like at a restaurant?
Dude, so that was like they had that open for about 7 years or something, and then in 93 it was closed and then remodeled into Lumiere's kitchen for Beauty and the Beast.
I think they improved it, Brenton.
I agree. Gurg. No one gives a shit about Gurgi.
What a stupid... they all got stupid names. Ugh. What was your favorite line in this film?
Nathan, there's a few good ones. I adore Forceful Men was one of them. But my other one was actually when he first meets this princess, right? And they're going through the dungeons. And
I laughed so much at this.
And she's like to him, are you a warrior? Are you a this, you a that? And he's like, no, I'm just an assistant pig farmer. And she's all like, oh, that's really disappointing. And it was like, he was cut. And then he responds though, but my pig can tell the future. And then she turns around, literally, and responds with the most deadpan voice acting ever. Oh, how interesting. What the fuck?
Even then, you put too much emotion into it. Like, it's the most, like, nonchalant. like, it's like, oh, my pig can tell the future. Like, he's poured out every straw he's got. And she's like, oh, yeah. Like, she's just so unmoved by it. And it's great. And you can kind of see the disappointment in his face, too. Because, like, I think that's the only thing he had going for him. He's like, shit, that was my one move to pick her up. Without a psychic pig, what hope have I got?
Oh, man. It's so funny. What's your favorite line?
My favorite line in the movie, I love that moment. I was laughing a lot. But the thing I genuinely had to stop the movie because I was laughing too much from it, and I had to listen to that line again, is when the Horn King and his little green minion first steal the pig, and they try and get the pig to television, but it's not playing ball. So the pig runs away, and then it gets captured, and they drag it back towards that like that bowl with the water, and the green minion runs after the pig, and it says, "Get on with the vision, pig!" And it kicks it in the butt. And I don't know why,
do remember that moment,
but it was so funny.
There was a lot happening.
I think it was that point in the movie where I just dropped my pencil and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how did we get here?
That's what I mean. There was one of those moments for me as well where I was just like, there's so much noise. There's so much movement. Ugh.
Oh, jeez. And also to introduce something new into the podcast, Brenton, I mean...
Oh, yes, we did.
You gave the listeners a tease earlier this week by posting some concept art of what we'd be talking about.
I did.
And it's funny because like we were researching this movie, I messaged you this because I'm like, oh, dude, look how cool the original thing is. So listeners, if you look in the links below, it'll take you to Insta where we put the photo up. Check out what this film originally looked like.
Look at this concept art.
Oh.
That is the name of this new special segment, and it's just... really good. What a fantastical piece of just concept art that is just like, it's got its own kind of mood. The lighting's really cool in it. Like the character designs are awesome. Look at these vultures that were like there as well. Like these kind of
so awesome.
3 vultures. Oh,
I love it. And also the original design with this like striking red cloak for like the Horned King. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
just
I
a
think it
horde
looks
of
great.
minions, not these drunken kind of pirates that live in the bar, like actual like scary knights around them.
I think what's weird about it though is that, and the most obvious thing that's wrong with it though, is that it still doesn't look anything like a Disney film.
No. And it's funny because you think the executives would have looked at this and gone, this is not for our studio, and like shipped it out to like Universal or Warner Brothers or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine if Studio Ghibli made this film?
You know what? I could imagine if
Ghibli would do it.
Studio Ghibli and animations, yeah, but they'd do it properly. You know what I mean?
Even Leica would probably do this properly.
Yeah, maybe.
They can do Paranorman, they can do this. Could you imagine as well, what if Armin Productions, who made Chicken Run, made this?
I could actually genuinely imagine that as well, but for very different reasons.
Yeah, they just do like a really like fantasy satirical take on it. I don't want to have visions.
Could you imagine like the main character like with like those lidless eyeballs that the chickens have from Chicken Run?
Oh my
Like-
god, that'd be amazing. My pig can tell the future. Oh, that's very nice.
Us chickens can fly.
Bringing them into it would be great. That's what they'll do for the Chicken Run sequel.
Nathan, what stills this movie? Ooh, it's blinding.
Oh, what still is this movie? It's a segment where we screenshot a frame from a movie because it's beautiful or funny or just something visually interesting worth talking about. Links all below if you want to have a look at it. Brenton, this is it's actually like a pivotal moment in the movie or anything like that. But it's where you first see, because this is another fun fact, this is the first Disney movie to use CGI with traditional animation.
I didn't know this, but when you sent me this still, I was like, this looks really weird. And now I understand why.
In the movie, it looks really weird. What it is that they've got like the hand-drawn boy, and he looks like he's been quite literally drawn onto this kind of like pink kind of cloud background made with like a CGI effect. Frankly, Brenton, it doesn't work.
It looks terrible.
It looks horseshit, and I don't know why they decided to do this, because they have these beautiful vistas hand-drawn through the whole movie. I don't understand narratively why they would have had to have this particular effect behind him.
Yeah, I don't know either. It just I remember this moment in the film actually, and it didn't strike me then, but just looking at this still, it just looks so off.
Is it giving you Dinosaur 2000 vibes?
No, because I think Dinosaur did it better.
Which isn't that saying something?
Well, hey,
Hey,
let's look at this film's poster.
Brenton.
Yes,
Let's look at this film's poster.
but is it art?
Oh boy, now Brenton, we shit on this movie, but oh boy,
This is the best thing we could talk about in regards to this film.
Oh my
This
God.
is such a killer poster. Goodness me, look at this thing.
this is
Oh.
outstanding. This might be one of the best posters we've ever looked at.
It's genuinely incredible. Like, I think it's amazing. There's one thing I'd remove, and obviously, if listeners, if you want to have a look at this, look at our links, look at YouTube, look at Instagram. Get rid of the Goblin guy, like the Green Goblin. He literally has the same design as the Green Goblin. I just realized.
Actually, oh my god, I didn't even think of this. It's Willem. It's like the original Green Goblin from the Spider-Man comics, because he's got the purple hood and everything.
Yeah, he's got it all.
Oh my god, how did I not notice this? That's amazing. So why didn't they bring in Willem Dafoe for this?
Nathan, there are some things even I don't know
Oh
the
my
answer
god! Could you
to.
imagine if they had Willem Dafoe as like the Goblin in this movie? He's just like when he doesn't grab the peg, he's like, back to formula. Just
Oh, Nathan. But this poster is genuinely beautiful. I think I love everything about this design.
the villain has the yellow eyes that you wanted.
Oh, look at him. Hidden by darkness, guarded by witches, discovered by a boy, stolen by a king. Whoever owns it will rule the world or destroy it.
Oh,
The Black Cauldron. Like, it just sounds great. 7 years in the making. In the celebrated Disney tradition comes our 25th animated motion picture. 25th animated. Like, it doesn't live up to that, does it?
jeez, it fucks it up. Also, where were these scary trees the whole movie? I would have loved to see them. And the snakes.
I think they stole them from The Wizard of Oz, if
I
I'm
think
being
they
perfectly
did.
honest.
Yeah. Poor Piggy. You see Babeth in this poster as well. She looks so concerned.
Babbitt looks very, very concerned.
Oh, jeez. I don't like the way Gollum's holding the boy's leg as well. He's about to hump it.
He probably is. He's probably in the process of doing that right now.
Oh, jeez. Title talk.
Ooh, it's the title.
Now, Brenton, I have real issue with this title.
Why is that?
Because, sure, was the Black Cauldron the Black Cauldron? Yes, it was definitively there. In fact, we saw hundreds of Black Cauldrons at one point. So, you know, the
We
film
did.
ticked that box. But Brenton, why is this like mythological artifact called the Black Cauldron when quite literally every cauldron ever made is black?
Because this is the blackest cauldron.
Is it? Jake, like, it's so stupid. Like, why is this the adjective to describe this artifact? Why not like the Magic Cauldron or the Cursed Cauldron?
Nathan, you're not wrong.
Like,
Or the King's Cauldron.
the
I don't know.
literally,
Something like that.
the Black Cauldron. Yeah, no shit, it's black. It's like it's like calling the film The Wet Water. It's like, yeah, of course it is. You know what I mean?
The Black Wok.
It's just, oh no, there's something. That would have been great. They find like the cauldron, and the only way they activate it is by making a stir fry. They're like, quick.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
only we had pork to add to this wok, and then they all turn to the pig.
Get the teriyaki. Let's go.
Oh, 1 star for the title, Brenton. Like, sure, it was in it, but you could get way more inventive. Also, that's not what the original like books are called anyway. Like, they just came up with that title.
Yeah. No, that's what one of the books is called.
Oh,
The Black
they are?
Cauldron.
Oh, okay. Then I blame the author then. Come up with a better title.
Nathan, let's pass that power to the people.
Pass it here.
What?
The power to the people.
Nathan, on the tomato meter, it is sitting at a rotten rating of 55% critically, with an audience score of 48%. Ooh, yucky, poo, poo, poo. Not good.
So, you know, people are divided. And, you know, this film bombed. You know, people inside Disney, they famously refer to this as the film that almost killed Disney. Because it cost $44 million to make and only made $21 million at the box office. So, you know.
Jeez, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Rachel Wagner from Rachel Reviews gave it a rotten review and said, definitely one of the worst Disney animated films and gets worse every time I watch it. Whoa.
Wow.
Man.
Shade.
Every time you watch it, it gets worse. Nathan, we should go for a second viewing sometime.
No, we should not, Brenton. Jesus. I'm trying to work out which one I hate more. Land Before Time or this. And I think I hate them both for so many reasons.
Oh, this, for sure.
I was actually about to say Land Before Time.
Wow.
Because at least the voice acting is stale in this one. At least, because in Land Before Time, the voice acting is actively pissing me off. Whereas in this one, it's just kind of flat. So, like, I'm okay. I can live with it.
That's a hell of a review.
I'm throwing rocks.
Such as Phil Halls from Edge Boston, who gave it a rotten review and said Disney's worst animated feature. Gosh, there seems to be a similar consensus.
Is this worse than Bambi?
Yeah, no, it is.
I'm trying to think, have you seen a worse Disney film? I mean, Home on the Range is pretty terrible. Sorry, Judi Dench.
I feel like there's probably some original Disney Channel movies that are really shit.
Oh, yeah, that they've done animated. Yeah, for sure, I suppose. But this is definitely up there as one of the worst. Are there any that you can't stand? Like of the old Disney animated film? There's been none that have actively pissed me off like this one. Except for maybe Bambi. And Fox and the Hound.
No, not Fox and the Hound. Like, I think, no, but even Bambi's got more going for it than this.
Yeah,
For sure.
I agree.
Way more going for it.
No, I think this might be one of the worst. I think Phil might be onto something.
Good on you, Phil.
Anonymous gave it 5 stars. 5 stars, Brenton. And wrote, great movie. Animation is not the greatest, but the plot and characters are awesome. Watch this forgotten classic and thank me later.
The plot and characters are awesome. This person was also like on a drug trip when they were
Jeez.
watching
No
this
wonder
film,
this
for
review's
sure.
anonymous. Christ.
Oh, Nathan.
Grace T, 4.5 stars. It's definitely not for everyone, but fantasy nerds will love it. Will fantasy nerds love this?
I'm a fantasy nerd and I don't love it at all.
I know you came in your hat and cloak and everything.
And my beard. Grace, you don't speak for us, fantasy nerds.
No, I feel like fantasy nerds would look
Get
at
out.
this shit and just say it's just too generic. They've seen all this done before better.
Exactly.
Does this make you want to see maybe what an animated Lord of the Rings would look like?
No. No.
I don't know. I feel like you could do something interesting animated wise with the Lord of the Rings.
But they already did.
I mean, did they? Like, was it that great?
There's an animated Lord of the Rings that came out around this time, wasn't there? Like, I haven't seen it, but
I mean, does it now make you want to watch it?
maybe we should watch that for the show at some point.
Jeez, I don't want to do. Yeah, we won't reveal the actual good Lord of the Rings films. We'll do the animated ones instead.
Oh, good times.
jeez.
Oh, maybe not good times. We'll find out. Matt H gave this 3 stars. 3 stars. And said, super creepy for a kid's movie. I felt this would be a better story if made for adults. Probably.
I could see an M version of this, like where they go the full horror and that kind of stuff, like acid trip it more.
But the problem's not who it's made for. Like there's obviously confusion as to who
Yeah.
this is made for. But our problems with the plot, like the fundamental issues with the plot. So just making it for adults doesn't fix it.
No, but like maybe this could be like a fun little short film that you could make for adults. like strip it down to where like the Horned King like gets the cauldron, fuck with the journey that leads up to it, and we just see that sequence of him decimating the land. Make that into like a 10-minute sequence, put it on YouTube, animate it, make it from like Adult Swim or something. It would be great.
I don't know. I'm not sold on the idea.
All right, well, hey, this thing's shit anyway, so we'll just live with that. Lastly, Super Jackster01 wrote on YouTube, he's my favorite Disney villain.
Hey, I can see why. He's got a cool design, you know. I like the character itself, like I don't really get what the end goal is. It's like just take over the world. It's a bit generic, and I don't get why he's able to amass all these followers and these people and why they, you know, what is his actual source of power. But hey, John Hurt.
Oh,
and it's a
he
cool
looks
design,
and sounds
so,
awesome.
you know.
Do you have a favorite Disney villain?
No, I don't, because there's too many I like.
Oh, really? There's not one that stands above the crop?
The Disney villains, like I think Maleficent's great. Obviously Gaston's really good. Clayton from Tarzan's really good.
He is really good. I love him.
There's so many you can name. Ursula's really good from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, Ursula's amazing.
Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh no, he's not good.
He's a good villain.
Nah,
Sure he is.
he's boring. I wasn't a fan. He just bloody stands there and he's like, oh, have you been outside Quasimodo? And Quasimodo's like, no. And he's like, good.
He's pretty fucked up, man. Frollo's pretty fucked up. He's a good villain.
Yeah, I liked it when he fell into the fire. Spoiler alert for that movie.
Oh, there he goes.
There he goes. Whoop, and he's fallen. I got a huge soft spot for Cruella de Vil, actually.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
She's
Good pick
she's
there.
like a deliciously Disney villain. Like I really love Cruella de Vil.
Oh, she's awesome. Yeah, great pick.
And she's got the best villain song out of all of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even though
for
she
sure.
doesn't sing it, it's the dad who sings it.
Oogie Boogie's really good from Nightmare Before Christmas.
I mean, obviously there's Scar from Lion King.
Oh yeah,
Jeremy
from Lion
Irons
King.
sells
Hell
that.
yeah.
They got some good villains, Brenton. Yeah. Any modern ones that you
There's
love?
so many good villains.
You don't like the bowler hat guy from Meet the Robinsons, or like?
No. I hardly remember Meet the Robinsons. I watched it once. Modern ones.
What about the new ones? Like, what about like the guy from Frozen, or like, I don't know. Well, who's the Zootopia villain? It's bloody Rabbit Chick, isn't it?
No, it's the
sheep. The sheep
it's
chick,
the
isn't
sheep.
it? Yeah.
The sheep. The
Yeah.
sheep. Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Yeah, but she's not like a villain. Like,
No, she doesn't really stand out in my mind. Like, I think she's a good villain, and I think the movie's really good, and it sets her up really well. Modern ones.
because there's not that many memorable ones. Like, I found the Princess and the Frog one boring.
Yeah.
Who remembers Bolt? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's like a large roster.
The mother from Tangled's pretty good.
Oh yeah, she goes all right. Like, oh yeah. Who's the one in Big Hero 6? It's
I haven't seen Big Hero 6.
Oh
so
really?
don't spoil it.
Dude, that's a good one.
Because everyone's telling me to watch it. Everyone tells me to watch it, and I'd really like it. So I will watch it one day.
You'd love Big Hero 6. It's a fun one. Oh yeah, the villain's good in that one. I like him.
I tell you what, I won't be watching anytime soon on Disney Plus though.
What's that?
I won't be having a second viewing of the Black Cauldron.
Because that was the Black Cauldron. And it was shit.
That was the Black Cauldron.
Oh jeez. I can't believe we
Guys,
did this
thanks for
today.
sticking with us for this episode. I really appreciate it. Nathan really appreciates it. We appreciate you, our lovely listeners.
Yeah. We'd jump into a cauldron for you any day of the week.
Oh, because we have no friends.
Oh no.
Nathan, I'd love to hear what our listeners think about the Black
Same.
Cauldron.
Yeah, big time.
Like, do you like this movie? We've really shat on it, but do you love this movie? Is it one of your favorites? Let us know on our Instagram, on our YouTube comments, on the Twitter, or send us an email, old school. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Send us a fax. I don't know what our fax number is, but send us a fax.
Oh, please do. Like, we love getting facts. We hardly get them anymore. We're always sitting by the machine waiting for something to
Just
come
come on, anyone. Like in the middle of recording one day, we hear this like, it's like one's being printed. Like, like oh, finally.
Yeah, you'll hear me scream like a little girl, just like, ah!
Oh, that'd be great.
Nathan, I brought a guest today, and you didn't even ask her any questions.
I mean, I've been very happy that the pig has been silent for the whole hour we've been doing this. But like, again, you need to remove this live animal, Brenton. Where did you even get her?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I do. Where'd you get her?
Just letting you know the police are on their way.
Oh no, not again.